Coming up on today's Wrestling News, Logan Paul Olympics controversy takes over wrestling Twitter.
Another Bloodline family member in Cleveland.
A WWE EVP rules out an AEW Supercard.
And a Hall of Famer's son signs with WWE.
I'm Michael Hamflett.
And I'm Phil Chambers.
And this is the news, and it starts in a bit of an ugly place, so this is kind of a content warning, I guess. If anything around transphobia or that sort of subject matter is a bit too heavy for you, please feel free to skip on to the next news story. But it is within the wrestling space, and it sort of feels like the kind of thing you have to talk about. Logan Paul put out a since deleted tweet on X last night, which we will not flash up on the screen here, but it's basically in reference to some Olympic boxing that took place last night. Again, like little content warning, I'll read the tweet and then we'll move on through the story. So the tweet that went out that said, quote, in relation to the fight, "This is the purest form of evil unfolding right before your eyes. A man was allowed to beat up a woman on a global stage, crushing her life's dream while fighting for her deceased father. This delusion must end." Right. For context to that tweet, yesterday, there was clips doing around circulating of the Italian boxer Angela Carini, who broke down in tears after she elected to abandon the Olympic boxing fight she had with Algerian competitor Iman Khalif after just 46 seconds. This created a huge controversy within the Olympic space. Khalif, an Algerian boxer, is one of two permitted to fight at the Olympics, despite the fact that she was disqualified from the Women's World Championships last year for failing gender eligibility tests. Khalif has been the subject of false claims that she is a male to female transgender woman. Algeria is an Islamic country where this would be illegal anyway. And Mark Adams from the IOC, the Olympic Committee, noted in a press conference that the gender test is not a perfect test. Women can have testosterone levels that would be considered traditional, quote, male levels. So that was why this was sort of a little bit of controversy within the Olympic setting, but you know, absolutely kind of no doubt about Khalif's gender or anything like that, other than obviously some of this other stuff that has followed her through various tests and different governing bodies, I guess, that have elected to make different decisions to the Olympic one. So yeah, in 2020, Khalif had lost Olympic quarterfinals to another boxer, an Irish boxer called Kelly Harrington. You know, she's had like mixed success within boxing. This is just an individual situation on its own terms that Logan Paul decided to wade in on with some obviously transphobic rhetoric. There was some immediate response within wrestling, not least of all from Logan Paul's colleagues within WWE. Isla Dawn went on Twitter to say, baffled by the constantly moving goalposts for womanhood, just say you have zero media literacy and keep your transphobic opinions to yourself. Have a good day. She then followed up to say, my dudes, nothing I tweet is aimed at any individuals and I'm not coming for anyone in particular. My app is just flooded with misinformation and harmful rhetoric that I don't like to see on my timeline. Okay, thanks, bye. Sami Zayn followed up on Twitter later on to say, check the internet today and it turns out everyone is really stupid. Like an interesting figure in the fact that obviously he's tried to put forth, I guess, his own political beliefs, but he's kind of not instructed to do it, but he feels like the only way to do it is to almost like sneak the messaging through. WWE has never promoted Sami for Syria, for example.
Hidden little messages like wearing his little wristband things in photos.
This kid took this picture of me, It's whereas obviously Logan Paul's we can editorialise, kind of hate speech was just like there, blasted sort of on his X, followed by a kind of, I don't know what you would even call it. Not an apology by any means. No,
definitely not an apology.
A kind of a doubling down on elements of his tweet whilst acknowledging the things he believed he got wrong about his first one, while then still kind of caveating.
Desperately trying to have his cake and eat it too.
100%. A kind of course correction. Look, it's not something that we want to take lightly as we would typically with our news videos. And, you know, I'm just going to speak personally for myself. You know, my views here reflect mine and necessarily not those of What Culture Wrestling, although I am quite proud to say that everybody within our group does feel this way. It's horrible to see this language used. It's horrible to see, just discussion with fact working against it, and nonetheless it kind of like triggering yet more like transphobic rhetoric. And I often feel like just trans people are an easy political punching bag for people to score points, and it's awful to see. So yeah, like from my personal view, I know you feel the same way, but just from a personal point of view, like solidarity and strength to the entire trans community, and it's unfortunate to see this. Obviously, it sounds trivial when you follow it up with this. Logan Paul will be in action at SummerSlam tomorrow defending his United States title, but why that is kind of relevant to the story is the fact that, he's going to be in a major high profile position. His brand, the Prime and everything is so integral to WWE's own forward facing branding in 2024.
Yeah.
And everything is all connected ultimately. Think about the products you're consuming and who's at the heart of that and whatever. Just a really ugly scene on X last night.
I mean, it's Logan Paul at the end of the day. He has briars. This isn't anything new coming from Logan Paul as a character. His apology was just pathetic. Literally using the term "oopsie" in the middle of an apology.
Trivialised
when
it,
you literally potentially put someone's life in danger by spreading complete misinformation. X was horrible last night in terms of all of this. Basically, at the end of the day, obviously disagree with all of it. Hate only breeds hate.
Yep.
Just be nice to people. All these people are human beings at the end of the day. Why is it so hard to just be kind to people? Let's just move on that, I guess. But back to wrestling, the silly old world of wrestling.
Take a bit of it, yeah.
The silly old world of wrestling is being even more silly because there is another Bloodline family member in Cleveland. SummerSlam happening at Cleveland. Zilla Fatu has put up a picture on Instagram, so probably not, of himself in Cleveland. But it is also to be warned, he is at 2 GCW shows this weekend in Cleveland, one today and one on Sunday. So he's probably not going to be at SummerSlam, guys. I'm just putting that out there. He only started wrestling 2 years ago for Booker T's Reality of Wrestling, and kind of left on strange terms and then came back to that. But he's also done some stuff in GCW. He's very new to the wrestling world. I doubt he's going to be showing up at SummerSlam.
But if you...
but you're telling me there's a chance?
I think that's it, right? If you even have a sniff of getting on that enormous family tree that The Rock put up in Vegas ahead of WrestleMania, if Zilla's kicking around as one of the lower branches down there, you think, well, that's my license to tease anytime there's a big Bloodline story going on. You know? Cody Rhodes and Solo Sikoa are going to go face-to-face on SmackDown tonight, where it is presumed/predicted that they maybe will declare Bloodline rules or tribal combat maybe as part of it, and obviously there's all these
shenanigans.
Rumours about Roman Reigns or perhaps the Usos or involvement, I guess, that starts leading us towards Survivor Series War Games, where we could have Bloodline versus Bloodline. That got confirmed for Vancouver, British Columbia, so we will see you there.
Hello.
British Columbians, looking forward to our first Vancouver live show. Isn't that right, Phil?
Yes, definitely.
No, obviously. But maybe. No.
You're telling me there's a chance?
Apparently I am.
If there's a chance of Zilla Fatu, I guess there's a chance of us going to Vancouver.
That's it, yeah. Hit us up, Zilla. We'll all get the same flight to Cardiff together. But yeah, let's, I guess, not completely rule it out, but in terms of Bloodline members, obviously post WrestleMania, it was opened up to the Tongans coming, Guerrillas of Destiny coming over from New Japan. Jacob Fatu has already made waves. Just feels like an instant,
big old family.
Instant start. There are some wrestlers available for this group. So why not, if you're Zilla, I guess, just get the conversation about you on such a massive weekend.
Why not?
What the conversation won't be about in wrestling anytime soon, at least, is the mooted WWE/AEW Supercard. I say mooted. Somebody asked Tony Khan about it and he just said something along the lines of, it'd be great, but it's not going to happen. And I can understand why he would think that, in spite of meeting with the McMahon this week. More on that in the after news coming later on. But yes, this was sort of poo-pooed or cast aside a little bit by the current sort of favourite pantomime villain of the wrestling media, Chris LeGentle, WWE's PR guy that sends all those fast nationals out to certain outlets that then seem to report them. He did an interview with the sports media podcast, and Fightful kind of gathered all this together. And he said, quote, no interest. I just want to, he said, so no interest. When asked the question, would you be interested in an AEW, WWE co-promotion? But then he added, I just want to make it clear, there is definitely a variety of excellent talent that don't currently reside in WWE. There is no shot there that is being fired. It's just to say, the answer to your question is that no conversation has been had in relation to that. I mean, it's interesting that this is even being talked about, right? Because I think old world WWE was always, the rule was just to not acknowledge the competition.
Wouldn't have even addressed it.
No, I seem to recall TNA getting a name check in something like 2017, a Kurt Angle gag with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. TNA had been around 15 years by that point and had never been less relevant. And that was the first point they thought, all right, we can be fine now. It took 15 years, you know. We all remember the sort of the Monday Night Wars with WCW and the like, and I think like now for obviously this head of PR, this very shrewd operator, Chris Gentle, that does sort of drive the PR machine in a very different way now. To even just be out front about it in an interview feels new ground.
Yeah.
But what doesn't feel new ground is WWE saying, no thanks.
Yeah, same old business there.
Yeah.
And it's not going to change anytime soon. There's no way the market leader does this. Like,
no.
It only helps AEW, really, at the end of the day.
Do you want it right now? I just think people ask us all the time, and it's great, and we love getting people's questions about like dream matches for the two sides. I kind of like the sort of the differing ways in which both companies are travelling at the moment. I'm not particularly feeling a need to see that overlap. It doesn't give me that. Like Forbidden Doors value was always in that like New Japan and AEW felt so close, and the frustration was like, why can't you two get it together?
Yeah.
I don't think I need right now this version of WWE versus this version of AEW.
Yeah, me neither. I think the New Japan crossovers were always far more interesting because it felt like doable, but also that all of the talent were worlds apart.
Yeah.
Like New Japan guys were so different to like WWE guys or AEW guys that you'd like, oh, there's a lot of crossover there. There's a lot of interest in what that would look like. Whereas obviously, because it's wrestling and wrestlers go to wrestle in other workplaces, like there's a lot of AEW guys or ex-WWE guys. That's not a knock on AEW at all. I'm like not even trying.
Yeah, you get we're waiting for Ricochet.
Yeah. But there's a lot of crossover there, and in terms of like the pure AEW originals that are the guys you'd want to see, like the Kenny Omegas of the world or something like that you'd want to see in some kind of WWE crossover. They're not like as in the mix maybe right now at least.
Yeah.
So it's like, it doesn't feel like it'd be as special as maybe it once would. Like maybe in the early days of AEW when the rosters were so very different and nothing had ever crossed. But now, because a lot of it's happened within AEW itself, it doesn't, like the shine's gone for me.
The time will come again, I think.
Yeah,
you want an entire new crop. Like there's been discussion of like where Daniel Garcia might go next, and the idea of like Daniel Garcia jumping, or the idea of like Ricochet going the other way, and it's like was he not allowed to be in WWE that we might see in it? Those moves I think are great.
Definitely.
But I almost want to see the wrestlers engage. Like both products feel so alive. I want to see wrestlers engage with the products rather than just run headfirst into each other.
It's like the Cody thing was so big because it was so new and it was the first time someone had jumped that way, and there's still hardly any that have jumped that way.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it?
It's very, very small amount that has gone to WWE.
Ethan Page, of course, the current NXT World Champion, is an example of that.
So so there's still a lot of potential there, but I think that was always the more interesting part of the like Monday Night Wars for me, was the jumps and seeing that person on that TV show. And then, because I was never a WCW guy, so I was just like, what is this? This is new. And then I was never interested in the invasion because I was never a WCW guy, so I had no stake in that fight. I didn't care.
Once you're in someone's house, it's very clear who owns the house.
Yeah.
And that's hard to get away from that, isn't it?
Yeah, and the politics in wrestling, like those Supercard things, like it's never going to mesh well because some people want their guys to win and other people want their guys to win.
We're fighting for her, and we're fighting for her. What's the answer? Compromise. It ended 4-4.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Good.
Yeah.
But moving over to Mark Henry's son.
Yeah.
Jacob Henry. But Mark Henry was doing a kind of DJ set for Remix Rumble. And during that, his son came out, Jacob Henry, and did a little speech basically saying, if you don't know me, he's like a collegiate wrestler for the University of Oklahoma. But he also announced that he is signing with WWE. He has put pen to paper. So Jacob Henry, Mark Henry's son, will be heading off to learn how to wrestle in NXT, which is quite exciting.
I mean, there's currently a nice precedent for second generation Jacobs, isn't there?
There is.
I'm into this. Like Mark Henry took a long time to get going. He controversially, of course, signed that 10-year contract that at times it felt like WWE were trying to book him into quitting. But he, survived that first rocky 10 years and then kind of thrived. Ultimately, he's in the Hall of Fame now, a beloved figure. I remember when he was in AEW and as Punk was kind of burning the world, he was like looking at it and saying, why not going to Mark Henry asking for advice? And there would have been a time where that would have been seen as preposterous, but he has sort of like established himself as this legendary figure within wrestling. And Jacob Henry comes in a time where WWE seem to have really figured something out with this next in line system. Like they'll take athletes from anywhere and all you need is a form of manuals, and it's can we convert that athleticism into a pro wrestler? And results are mixed, of course. I'm not suggesting that it's a perfect science or anything, but Tiffany Stratton's gymnastic background springs to mind. Like Bron Breakker as a footballer, but like it's just an all-round fitness guy that contributes to so much about the type of person he is, other than the fact that there's wrestling in his blood. There's wrestling in Jacobs, so you kind of fancy the chances of these guys way more than you would have done. Like throwing an athlete into that Undertaker locker room of the 90s. You don't respect the business. You think you run around on track. It's not like that anymore. Hang on, you got like 9 seconds over 100 meters. We can probably do something. It's a different mindset now, isn't it?
Yeah, they've got the whole system for NXT as well that they didn't really have. Obviously, they had sort of training grounds-ish, but it's more like
Tom Pritchard teaching you how to bump.
Than like an actually developed system where they teach you how to A, be a wrestler, B, be on TV, C, cut promos, D, like develop your character, like E, like work the press. Like they teach you absolutely everything that is involved in being a WWE superstar with all of the performance like facility training centers and things like that. Like if you chucked like a Mark Henry into that world,
the weightlifter version
10 years would have been a very different run because he would have figured it out before he got on TV rather than going, there you go, you're on TV now.
Do that now.
Why isn't this working?
Yeah.
I wonder.
They're looking for more Kurt Angles than Mark Henry's. This is oddly enough on the
so I think it's going to be really interesting.
And if you think any of these things have been interesting, well, let us know in the comments below. We might not do that today. But Phil, thing is, when I'm on YouTube, right, I tend to just watch one video and switch it off. Is that how you use YouTube?
That's a stupid thing to do.
Why?
You know what you can do? You can go on a journey
through
YouTube, and you can continue your YouTube journey right here.